It's now a great honor to proceed with the announcement of this year's Captain Ron Erchul Environmental Leadership Award. Now, as this community knows, this award recognizes a Virginian who has made significant individual efforts to improve our environment. The award is named after Captain Ron Erchul, who is the founder of Environment Virginia Symposium. And we have him to thank for this 36 years of great events. Now, we began this award in 2000 to honor him. And in the conference app, you can see the many distinguished Virginians who have received the award over the last 24 years. Now, I'm going to ask Ms. Tanya Denkla-Cobb, last year's recipient, to join me here on the podium. Good to see you, Tanya. Now, members of Virginia's environmental community nominate the candidates. That's you. And really, that means you're recognizing a distinguished peer in the community. The candidates are judged on the basis of their vision, expertise, commitment, integrity, communication skills, accomplishments, and diplomacy. That's a large list. Very distinguished to get this award. And so Tanya is going to explain the process, and we'll announce the winner.
Thank you so much. So the nominations we received for the 2026 Erchul Environmental Leadership Award, our Program Advisory Committee reviewed the nominations and voted on the finalists. A panel of judges comprised of past award winners then selected this year's winner. We want to thank all the individuals who took the time to honor their colleagues by nominating them for this award. A talented group of environmental leaders here in Virginia were nominated for this award. We heard over and over and over again how deserving all of the nominees were and how hard the votes were. This year's recipient of the Erchul Environmental Leadership Award is Becky Gwynn. Thank you. So now you get to hear why she is receiving this award. The nomination reads as follows. The Department of Wildlife Resources, DWR as we all know it, respectfully nominates Becky Gwynn for the 2026 Virginia Environmental Leadership Award. Over her nearly 40 years with DWR, Becky has established a reputation for conservation leadership, professional diligence, and innovation, and personal integrity. Becky's career at DWR began as the Fish and Wildlife Information System Program Manager. She served in that capacity until 2000, when she was promoted to the position of Assistant Director for the Wildlife Diversity Division. Since then, her leadership has helped shape the department's vision and mission. Currently, she oversees the agency's work for wildlife, fisheries, non-game and endangered species, capital projects, boating access, and land conservation. Notable career highlights are many and include on an agency funding vehicle called House Bill 38, some of you may remember, development of Virginia's first wildlife action plan, initiating the Commonwealth's first wildlife viewing plan, creation of the Virginia Birding and Wildlife Trail, the nation's first statewide wildlife viewing trail, and coordinating land acquisition efforts that have safeguarded and restored habitat for threatened species, as well as providing public access to recreational opportunities for all Virginians. Her leadership enabled Virginia's largest conservation easement in the coalfields, securing 65,000 acres of recreational access and habitat for Virginia's only elk herd. Becky was also responsible for a $44.5 million EPA grant award, the largest in the agency's history, to protect and restore coastal wetlands and forests for carbon capture and storage. Wow. Time and again, she finds herself at the forefront of seemingly insurmountable conservation challenges, like temporarily relocating the largest seabird colony in Virginia to make way for the New Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, and leading an effort to build a permanent island for the birds. Wow. Becky serves on many conservation teams and is well known in the Virginia conservation community regionally and nationally. She is a board member of Virginia's United Land Trust, Vault, the Virginia Land Conservation Foundation, and the Atlantic Coast Migratory Bird Joint Venture. She is routinely sought out for service because of her professionalism, hard work, and expertise. Becky received her Master's of Science in Fisheries and Wildlife from Virginia Tech and her BS in Biology from the College of William and Mary. She is a graduate of the Virginia Executive Leadership Institute, the Virginia Natural Resources Leadership Institute, and the National Conservation Leadership Institute. She is more than deserving of the Erchul Award for the Virginia Environmental Leadership, and it is a great honor that I am able to help give this to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. This is such an honor, and it's so humbling to be recognized in this group of individuals, many of whom I've long looked to and looked at as mentors when I think about people like Tanya, people like Peggy Sander, who was the previous year's winner, Bettina Ring, Vicki Robner, who's here. I find myself thinking I stand on the shoulders of those leaders. They've been mentors. They've been so gracious to give to me the benefits of their experiences. And there are plenty of people in the audience here today who will tell you, I really like to fly under the radar. I'd rather be, well, up there, actually. But and so it's such an honor. And I think unbeknownst to some of my colleagues, when you submit an award nomination for this particular award, the recipient gets a copy of it from the team here at BMI to affirm that what's written is accurate. And so I owe for sure my thanks to Michael Lippert, who's here, also a previous award winner, for spearheading that. But I have also come to learn just in the last 24 hours that this was very much a collaborative effort of my colleagues at DWR, and I'm very grateful that they think of me in a manner to nominate me. I also want to thank, in particular, my director, Ryan Brown. He made the decision in 2021 to promote me into my current role. He's always encouraged my creative thinking, problem solving. He's given me a lot of flexibility to think about what DWR in the 21st century needs to look like. At Nikki, we're working on a resilience revolution. This has been an opportunity for DWR to think strategically into the 21st century about what we need to do to ensure that fish and wildlife populations and the habitats that support them
And the infrastructure that puts people out and in nature is resilient well beyond the times that we're here to enjoy them ourselves. I do work for a state fish and wildlife agency. I love my job. I love the agency that I work for. You may remember from comments that he made on Wednesday or Tuesday that Director Brown talked about the unique nature of many state fish and wildlife agencies. Many of us are self-funded. I will say DWR was founded all the way back in 1916, almost 25 years before the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Across the country, state fish and wildlife agencies serve as trustees for that fish and wildlife population. It's a public trust resource. And I take that responsibility really seriously. It motivates me to get up to go to work every day. Some days are fabulous. Some days are not as fabulous. But being the steward of these resources for Virginians today and into the future just really grounds me. And when I have opportunities like holding the first nestlings of red-cockaded woodpeckers that were born on the Big Woods Wildlife Management Area, I mean, that's a lifetime experience that I will never have again. And it makes me appreciate that the work that's done by state fish and wildlife agencies that I think many Virginians don't know about, don't hear about, don't necessarily appreciate, is something that we do because we're passionate about the work that we do. Many in my profession enjoy in their off time the same things that they do during their day job. So we have become a large family. We spend our time together. You know, the birds don't wait until the sun comes up, so we have to be out before they are. The wildlife that's out at night doesn't really care that it's after dark, and you might have to be out until midnight. And so we spend a lot of time together. We become friends beyond being colleagues, and it's really an enriching experience. And I'm so privileged to work with so many dedicated, committed professionals in my agency. But my accomplishments are really not my accomplishments. They're our collective accomplishments, both within DWR and beyond DWR. I have been incredibly fortunate to work with so many of you here in the room today and beyond to achieve the dreams that we have come up with. Some of the things that Tanya talked about in the nomination, you know, as I've thought about the work that I do, it's really never saying no, thinking boldly and trying to imagine a world and an outcome that's better tomorrow than it is today. There are several people in the room who have been with me long enough to know that I really never say no. So Tanya mentioned, you know, curating a temporary solution for Virginia's largest seabird colony. When Ryan Brown came to me and said, "Do you think we could create habitat on barges for these colonies?" I'm like, "Sure." And then I turned to the people that were working with me, and I'm like, "I don't know how we do this, but we have to figure this out." And you know what? 90 days later, we had figured it out at the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, there are some really incredible stories from the DWR, from the team of professionals that is the DWR, and from our partners. I mean, that project, as an example, was supported by the National Audubon Society, by the Shorebird team at Virginia Tech, by our colleagues at the Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Services Program, and many more. So my successes really are our collective successes. I think that something that has helped me is that every position I have lived in at the DWR has been new. It has never existed and is gone before I occupied it. So I have spent an entire career adapting, learning to change, being comfortable with change. Not everyone is comfortable with change. And it's something that has enabled me, I think, to help motivate and incentivize people to go along on some of my crazy journeys. In closing, I do want to say, I want to share a quote from Aldo Leopold. Some of you in the room may recognize him as the founder of the current Science of Wildlife Management. And in his foreword to a Sand County Almanac, which was one of his seminal publications published right after he passed away in 1949, The forward includes a comment, there are some who can live without wild things and some who cannot. I cannot, and I hope you cannot, and I very much appreciate this award. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Becky. Just an impressive set of accomplishments with all members of the community. Now, each year, BMI donates $1,500 to a nonprofit environmental organization of the recipient's choice in their honor. Becky has chosen Virginia Herpetological Society for her donation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving Becky another round of applause.